you have an ear infection, then don't dawdle around here. Go see your doctor, the health department, or the ER, and let them give you an antibiotic or whatever they feel is best. I know if I had an ear infection, that's where my butt would be. Earaches are the freaking worst. I hate them. My problem is that I have horrible allergies that affect my sinuses, so at times my ears do hurt. Doc said that breeds a perfect environment for an ear infection. In 12 years of using this method, I've not had one ear infection from anything. So for me, this definitely works. A lot of people recommend pouring pee in one's ear. Sometimes I read to pour the opposite sex pee in your ear, and other times I read to pour the same sex pee in your ear. However, it can't be your own pee. No thanks. I've not tried the pee thing, so I don't know if it works, but what does work for me is when I lay down on my side and put peroxide in one ear. Give it about 2 or 3 minutes to bubble. If it doesn't bubble, I drain that ear and dry it, and then I repeat that on the other side. If one of my ears bubbles, I personally leave the peroxide in that ear until the bubbling stops. My ear usually doesn't hurt anymore when I'm done. Note, I have read where people recommend only leaving the peroxide in one's ear for 5 or 10 minutes per ear. But I look at it this way. If an infection is a ball and only one side is exposed, then the peroxide has to eat all the way through the infection before it reaches its back side. So if I drain my ear while it's still bubbling, then who's to say that the peroxide effectively reached and killed the backside of the infection? And for this reason, I leave the peroxide in my ear until all bubbling has stopped. And sometimes that takes 40 or even 55 minutes per ear. But that's just me. I suppose 5 or 10 minutes is better than nothing. I was originally worried that I might cause damage to my inner ear by leaving the peroxide in for too long, but again, in the 12 years that I've been doing this, no damage has ever been detected, and I recently passed my hearing test for the second time, so to each their own, I guess. If my ear still hurts after a round of peroxide, then I use Mother Nature's antibiotic. I peel and thinly slice a garlic clove. I'm super sensitive to the garlic. It'll burn and swell my skin if left in place for longer than 2 seconds. So to prevent this, I must wrap my one slice of garlic in a super thin layer of gauze. I only wrap it once or twice at most, and when I do this, I use the gauze with the bigger holes so the garlic can leach through to my ear. I place the gauze garlic to the back side of my ear wherever it hurts, and then I use a headband to hold it in place, but I suppose I could probably tape it too. I'll leave that on for about 3 to 6 hours until bedtime, and then I'll make a new one with a fresh slice of garlic off of a new clove. I can't use what I've already sliced because that garlic has already begun to dry out. The medicinal qualities it once had are no longer full strength. And after that, I make a new fresh one and I use the headband to hold it in place till morning and I go to bed. I mean, that's always taking care of my earaches when the peroxide just hasn't worked. I'll do the peroxide and or the garlic 2 or 3 times a day if I'm feeling under the weather. Otherwise, I do the peroxide every few days just as a precaution. It helps keep my ears clean, and if a germ happens to sneak in there, the peroxide and or the alcohol will kill it before it has a chance to infect me. It also doesn't hurt that I like the bubbling sensation the peroxide does. For me, it's kind of like an ASMR. While I'm on this subject, I get swimmer's ear easily, even by just taking showers. If I feel any symptoms of swimmer's ears, and after each shower, I'll take a piece of a cotton ball and use it to squeeze 2 or 3 drops of rubbing alcohol in my ear. I make sure the alcohol goes all the way in my ear till I feel it hit the back of my inner ear. And then I drain my ear and use a Q-tip to dry it before it burns me. Research shows that as the alcohol dries, it will also dry any moisture around it, thus eliminating the possibility of swimmer's ear. And again, I've been using this method for, you guessed it, 12 years now, and I've not gotten one case of swimmer's ear in that time. So for me, yeah, I believe this alcohol method works. Note, my allergies will sometimes cause me to have so much wax that I could feel it moving around in my ear. Ugh, disgusting. My doctor told me that could easily turn into an infection, so when I feel that, I grab the peroxide to clean the ears, and once that's done, I follow that with rubbing alcohol to dry the ear up. Works like a charm every time. Rubbing alcohol is not what it used to be. The stories say that drinkers back when, who couldn't afford regular brew, would buy rubbing alcohol to consume for a cheap buzz. Well, the U.S. government wasn't happy, claiming they weren't getting their tax from the rubbing alcohol sales. To fix their problem, they forced the rubbing alcohol makers to use petroleum as the base for their rubbing alcohol, instead of the previous consumable one. So from then on out, if anyone drank rubbing alcohol, they would injure themselves or pass away. And just in case you weren't aware, petroleum does have the potential to cause cancer. So I don't like using it at all, let alone that close to my head. And that's why I personally use the peroxide method more than the alcohol method. I try to limit my cancer exposure as much as I possibly can. I hope my stories offer comfort to others in their time of need. Remember, it gets better, my friend, if you just believe. Marcy Jax.